Welcome, everybody, to another live recording of the Business Travel 360 Linking the Travel Industry podcast, where we discuss travel industry news you are talking about on LinkedIn. My name is Rian, and I'm one of your hosts today. I'm a co-founder at Agentivity, where we ensure TMCs operate as efficiently as possible. As usual, I'm joined by Ash and Anne to help me discuss our list of stories with you. Over to you, Anne.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Anne. I'm an independent consultant in distribution. I'm happy to help you with anything that you may need to look into with NDC, one order management, etc. The list is long. Over to you, Ash.
Thanks, Anne. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ash, and I'm the host of a weekly business travel podcast called What's Up in Business Travel, where we give you only the important updates in under 15 minutes. Additionally, I'm the Vice President of Client Success at Traxo, and this is Linking the Travel Industry.
Thank you both, and thank you for those in the audience joining us. If you're new to this event, the format here is a quick, non-biased and spontaneous review of the previous week's top LinkedIn travel industry stories. And the first story, which is a nice celebratory type story, is the news that Frankfurt Airport in Germany have deployed Bluetooth audio technology, which can broadcast the gate, and I assume other announcements as well, but initially gate announcements, straight to a user's headset, earbuds, or indeed hearing aids. We all love the story, but Anne, I think you spotted this.
Of course, we love it, right? We need improvement and equal experience at the airport. And this, of course, is a step in the right direction. So kudos to Frankfurt Airport. I think it's just fantastic.
What do you make about this, Ash?
So I was totally in line with what Anne is saying. This is really, really great stuff. The reason why I thought it was great stuff is because most recently I've been involved with trying to get some hearing aids for my father. And as part of that, I've started to learn a lot about hearing aids. I have this doctor, audiologist guy who's just telling me everything about it. So not only does this stuff now let you do what the story's about, but it also lets you, let's say, go into a concert and tap into the concert audio directly. So You're getting the feed, and you can also connect it to your television. So this technology isn't as unique to many people as it feels like to us.
Yeah.
So I totally think that this is shouldn't just be in Frankfurt. It should just be a standard across the world. And it gets to the point where I was looking at this stuff and I'm thinking to myself, I could use this, right? I don't have a hearing problem, but man, this is really good stuff. I think this is amazing. I love it.
If I'm not mistaken, but I might very well be, this goes further than just hearing aids. It could also be an opt-in for anybody with a Bluetooth headset. So if you are, and I imagine this is how it works, right? Sitting there listening to music, it could interrupt that and tell you about the gate announcements. Now, again, I might be wrong. And I would have loved to see this where you have the option to say, I only want to know about this flight number's gate. I mean, that's probably coming down the line at some point. You don't want to hear other people's gate announcements, right? You want to hear yours. And I'm not suggesting that this is already working, but that would be ideal, wouldn't it? You could just go in, not panic, listen to your music, and just be interrupted about your own gate. Next story which we picked up was the fact that Scandinavian Airlines are returning to Dubai for the first time in 15 years. I would like to know, Anne, why were they not there?
Well, yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it?
There was a more serious issue this week, which wasn't well reported on. I think you picked up on it as well, and this involved a Scandinavian Airlines flight that was supposed to take off from Brussels Airport on Thursday, and it was at night, and the crew mistakenly initiated a takeoff on a taxiway instead of the actual runway. And they've actually achieved speeds of up to 220 kilometers an hour on the taxiway before that error was recognized and the takeoff was thankfully safely rejected. This is a huge story, but it was very well managed from a PR perspective because we didn't really see it in many places, right, Anne?
No, really not. And they were literally 200 meters away from full-blown tragedy that could really literally we would have seen one of the worst accidents in European airline history. So literally 200 meters away.
Ryanair has been the news. The European Consumer Rights Group, that's the best I can describe them. It seems to be an advocacy group for consumers. They call themselves Euro consumers. They've celebrated a Belgian court's ruling against Ryanair, basically ordering the airline to stop, and I quote, multiple misleading pricing practices and restoring transparency, and they have a month to comply. or I think they face a huge fine of €1 million of sorts. Before I come to you guys for comment on this, and I'm not sure whether the guys from Euro Consumers are listening in today. I know they liked the post or commented even on the post about this as well. I have to say, I'm not a big fan of the way in which they talked about this. Their post started off with bye-bye Ryanair, blah, 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 and then this image. I don't think that's a great way of approaching it. I mean, if you have an issue with an airline, you talk about it and you address it, but there's a lack of, what's the word I'm looking for, maturity
Respect,
about this.
yeah.
And respect. Yeah. So I don't know whether you also picked up on that, Anne.
I was a bit shocked. And also what the complaints are about, there are two things that I found a bit, extraordinary, something we see with almost every airline in Europe. You have that with literally every airline. You have a lot of confusing. I mean, we all know how confusing it is. So It's all over the place. And so the second question I have about this, are we actually going down to country level for this to have rulings, a ruling in Belgium, and then we're going to have a ruling in Austria? I'm all for transparency, you know that. And I didn't like the attitude either. Like I said, It showed lack of respect.
Any thoughts from your side, Ash?
I hope that they're listening to us, because here's what I'm going to say to them right now. Bureaucrats need to really understand the travel industry before they start commenting about it. Sending out fines to Ryanair in this way for things that every single airline does around the world is showing that they have no idea what they're talking about. If you're going to fine Ryanair, you might as well fine the entire industry and every single airline that comes into Belgium. Why just Ryanair? And so this entire thing just seems to be ridiculous. Maybe they're trying to get some focus on Euro consumers, and what better way? Bureaucrats and politicians love to go after the airlines because it definitely gets eyeballs, right? So they're enjoying the moment for a little while, I think. And list of items that's on the post, this is travel industry. This is not selling bread at a grocery shop, right? Where 200 breads are exactly the same price. It's not how it works. So they need to really get their minds right about this. And this is what happens when you don't agree to Starlink, Rian and Anne. We're going after you.
No, we're all in agreement. And Michael Carter, thank you for your comment as well, saying somebody let the marketing intern post out without checking it. It does look like that, doesn't it?
It does.
Next story, which was interesting to note, is that Qantas is selling its entire, almost 1/3 stake in Jetstar Japan, just focusing back on their core markets and, stepping away from Asia. This is similar to something they did recently as well with another Jetstar investment, wasn't it, Anne? Or am I imagining it?
Yeah, I don't think you're imagining. Wasn't it Thailand? I was trying to figure out whether they actually make some profit out of this.
You know who will know and who will tell us is Ash.
Well, I don't know if they make profits, but if you're making profit, you're probably not selling the airline. Yeah. There's something there. And I think what you guys were thinking about was Jetstar Asia. That was 49%. So this is what happens when airlines get really cute. What does Jetstar have to do with Qantas? Nothing. And they start to build a brand. It doesn't work. Then they have to sell the brand.
They have Jetstar Australia, which is the low-cost brand in Australia.
But
that
why?
is a Qantas company.
But why?
Well, why does Singapore Airline have Scoot?
Yeah.
There are airlines out there who have a low-cost brand.
When was the last time? And none of them ever, it never works for anybody except Singapore Airlines might be the only anomaly in the entire history of aviation that was successful in what they did. Probably because they do everything well, so they did this one well. Qantas doesn't do anything well, so they shouldn't get into it. United also was cute about something called TED many years ago in the U.S. market. You just got to stop this stuff, right? Make it clean, make it sharp. The Air Asia guy was really smart in getting ahead of this and actually eliminating all the other brands, if you remember the story from a couple of weeks ago. So this is definitely what happens when airlines get cute. Focus on one thing that you do really well and do it really, really good.
Agreed. I just want to take the opportunity to turn to our audience and say thank you so much for giving us your time on a Monday. And we've got a few more stories which we need to cover, but this is also a great opportunity for you to comment and tell us where you are listening from, and we'll bring your name on screen, and ideally you'll get a few more connection requests, which is ultimately our goal here at Linking the Travel Industry, is to get more of us connected so there could be more dialogue between us all. So please do that. We would appreciate that. And again, just to say thank you for giving us your time on a Monday. Now, we've got a few more stories that we need to cover. I just need to get rid of the music there. Next story which stood out for me was this post by a guy called Lee Sprung. And Lee's post was about his experience in flying British Airways versus flying Virgin Atlantic. And it was particularly interesting to me because, first of all, the post got a lot of interaction and attraction from people. And he was just telling people about the fact that his experience with British Airways feels like the human is in the way and they've engineered ways around it, around the traveler, whereas the Virgin Atlantic experience was a focus on the customer. It's a harsh story for somebody at British Airways to read it. I see the CEO at Virgin Atlantic did respond to that post and interacted with that as well. And this obviously wasn't a great post to read for the folks at British Airways, right?
No. No, but it's an interesting comparison, isn't it? But something I still wonder about is that, because I follow some groups when it comes to BA, is of course that with all that focus on technology then British Airways claim to have, we still know that the app is terrible, but the website's terrible, all of that is terrible. So maybe a bit of refocus there. And we know that the experience with Virgin Atlantic is very good. So what can I say?
Yeah.
I think this is stating the obvious, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I mean, it's like me comparing some crappy airline to a really good one.
It was a good post in the sense that he didn't just say BA is bad and Virgin is good. He said why, right? He said his experience is the why that is. So that's interesting read. And hopefully the guys at BA will learn something from this and do something about it.
No, they won't.
They'll build a new website maybe, Ash.
That project failed. That was a last year project. It didn't work out quite well. The
post that got the most engagement last week was also a really good story, by the way. And this is Scott Kirby's post. He's from United Airlines, and he posted about their final cutover from mainframe to cloud computing. And he had a really nice photo in his post about the staff involved in that, obviously mostly from their IT and systems team, etc. A team of more than 1,000 who was involved in this and who worked tirelessly to get this done. But this is a great story, right, Ash?
It's okay. I mean, I don't think that this is really that amazing as everybody made it out to be. And when you have 1,000 employees and you have a bunch of likes, it's not hard to get there because every employee would be required by rule to like. And if they don't like, then their HR is looking at it. Who doesn't like it? Look, I don't think this is a big deal as Scott made it out to be. And it's fine. You're moving from old technology to modern technology. Good for you. You did a cutover. That's good for you. Nothing bad happened. Good for you. Aren't we all expecting you to do all those kind of things?
I'm so glad I don't work for you, Ash. Expectation.
But if you're going to do this, I mean, this seems like an internal United thing, right? Like, why are you exposing it to the world, I guess, is my point.
No, it's fair. Would they have done that post if it failed? Probably not.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, we screwed up, and this is why we screwed up. I mean, they wouldn't have said anything.
Yeah, and you've been involved in quite a few transforming systems projects, right? So what are you...
PSS migrations and stuff. I have exactly the contrary opinion. I am super happy for United. I think it's just amazing what they've done. They own and control their PSS environment, inventory and reservation system themselves. They are free to do all the cool stuff. You know, they still have the best airline app in the world. I mean, come on, they're really great.
I don't know about that. I mean, Anne, I respect you in everything you're saying, but here's what I'm going to say. You've spent a decade and several $100 million, according to the Post, to move out of legacy systems in the year 2026. What have you been doing?
Well, I mean, Ash, about 80% of the world's airlines are on legacy systems. They are there. When you talk to most airlines, they will say, oh, you know, that's going to take at least 20 years from now until we can, you know, move and control our environment. So, yeah, they're definitely ahead.
Yeah, so compared to your peers who also suck just as badly as you do, you are a little bit better because you did it in 10 years versus 20 years. What I'm wondering is what's going to happen now, right? Like, what are you bringing to the table now that didn't exist before? And how is that going to help you? But the fact that you cut over from an old system to a new system and spend $100 million doesn't impress me at all.
Well, his comment there, they need to do more to impress us. But yes, let's see. Guys, we're going to have to move on because we've actually got quite a few more stories, which is a surprise. Those were the stories on my list. We then cut over to some extra stories specifically for today. And my first extra story relates to a interesting announcement out of Brussels. And if I read this correctly, there was a additional tax that's going to be imposed at Brussels Charleroi Airport. And
Yeah.
Ryanair obviously didn't like that at all. And then the actual government, it seems to me, like overrode that decision, and they are not going to have that tax applied. So that's pretty good news for Brussels Airport, which is not wording we would normally have in the same sentence, I have to admit, based on what's going on in Brussels. We have a few more comments about the United story. Dane van der Voort, thanks for listening in. He's telling us about the United cutover, saying that they are exposing its jewel because they've got little other cool news, which is almost what Ash also said. But he's on the same page as you, Ash, saying hopefully this leads to something better, which we now want to see, right? So thanks for that comment. If you want to say something, Ash?
I want to say something, that you expect an airline to be on the latest tech. Oh my God. You go out there and check out what tech they're on. You know, we're going back to one of the oldest ones is from the 60s, the PSS systems that is still operating and running in Europe, actually.
And Ben Park, you have a question for us about the kayak CEO stepping down. I think that news came out today, if I'm not mistaken. If we have time, we'll go back to that. Otherwise, we will include that in next week's discussion because it's relating to this week. But thank you for the question. Another extra story I have is just a bit of celebration, really. There's a developer type tech person that wrote this, basically a version comparison of the NDC versions. He's got a little user interface where you can load the two versions, click a button, and then you can see what were the differences. I'm not able to pronounce his surname. I'm going to try, but his name is Kamil Galushka, and he wrote this tool that you can compare the versions. And I think that's pretty good. And I do like that. Those were the extra stories from my side. And I know you've got an extra story. You want to tell us more about Molt and Molt Book?
Yeah, Molt Book is this AI talking to AI and actually excluding us from that world. And this was in the news. We had a long discussion on, I participate in something called Witty, which is a tech community. And of course, we spent almost an hour talking about Molt Book. This is also the scary side, you can say, of AI. I don't personally think it's so scary, but having AI taking over, excluding humans, and they actually went as far in this dialogue of having different AI, talking to each other and then creating their own language and also religion.
Did they not start an airline as well?
Yes.
I bet you they could have done the cutover in less than 10 years and without spending a couple $100 million.
Ash, do you have any extra stories from your side?
I do. I have some hotel news. And since we're talking about AI quite a bit, there's a study that came out that says that the hotel sector is at a very fast pace at optimizing AI within their businesses. As a matter of fact, 54% of the hotels surveyed are using AI today for revenue optimization, which means how they can manage dynamic pricing better and cost forecasting. So this is great news on the hotel front. And the other story I want to talk about that's related to the hotel sector is that we're now seeing Accor launching their own integrated app within ChatGPT. What that basically means is that you can go to ChatGPT and say, book me a Accor hotel, and off the app will go and book your hotel for you. So this is clearly moving in the right direction. This also is a major red flag in the managed hotel space. If you're thinking about hotels and managed travel, the fact that a traveler can go to ChatGPT and book a hotel, and of course the hotel is booked on Accor.com, that further disturbs and fragments the hotel business, which is already fragmented to begin with within managed travel. This is a big move, and it's not just Accor that's done this. You see Booking.com having done this already as one of the original pioneers of this, as well as Expedia.
Very good. Thank you. Martijn is telling you that the Accor integration is a dud. You need to go and see his post about it. So you do that, and then we can talk about it more next week if you want. Thank you very much for everybody engaging with us today. We appreciate that and giving us your time. We do this weekly, as Ash will tell us at the end. But thank you for all that interaction, and thank you to you both. Over to you, Anne.
Thanks, everyone. And thank you so much for your engagement. Over to you, Ash.
Thank you all for joining today's live recording of Linking the Travel Industry. We record this podcast live every week on Monday. We ask that you share this event with others that you know. Chances are high that if you enjoyed today's session, those that you know will as well. If you ever miss a show because of time zone or availability, the podcast is available on businesstravel360.com. This is Linking the Travel Industry, signing off.